Hello everyone! It's been a bit since I've recorded a video for this channel, but here we go. Today I'm playing a version of what many people consider the best deck in Standard, the Golos Field of the Dead deck, and I'm playing a version specifically meant for best of one play. So what do I mean by specifically meant for it? I am starting off with Brad Nelson's list from the MPL last week. He's very good, so his decks are usually a good place to start. But then I switched some things around to make it specifically meant for the win anything event, where you tried to win 12 games of Standard in a row. And I did this by trimming a few things to make room for 3 Fae of Wishes. Fae of Wishes is already a popular card in these really slow types of decks, and so I just went up to 3 of them. Everything else is mostly the same, except, of course, as you do if you're trying to build a deck around Fae of Wishes, is the sideboard. I'll get to that in a sec, I'll just hit everything real quick. The basic game plan, if you're not familiar with this deck, is we're trying to ramp. Arboreal Grazer and Growth Spiral put lands into play from our hand, Circuitous Route gets them out of our deck, and then we're trying to hit 7 unique lands so that Field of the Dead begins making zombies. Golos can either get our 7th land or get Fields of the Dead, often getting 2nd, 3rd, 4th copies of Field of the Dead, and eventually you just overpower the opponent with so many zombies that they can't possibly hope to dig out from it. Backing up this game plan, we have Once Upon a Time for card filtering, Hydroid Krasis for raw card advantage, and Time Wipe and Realm-Cloaked Giant as wrath effects. This deck's really cool because we don't really care about blowing up our side of the board as long as we kill the opponents, because we will rebuild very quickly with zombies. But at the same time, we often just don't have to. Time Wipe and Teferi very easily allow us to pick up creatures like Fae of Wishes or Golos as we blow up everything else. So often this card is more like Plague Wind than it is Wrath of God. It's really, really good in this deck. If Realm-Cloaked Giant weren't also very good, I would play 4 of these. And so the thing about this game plan is it's a little like one-dimensional. If Wraths aren't good and Zombies aren't good, then we'd have a lot of problems. But Fae of Wishes solves that pretty easily. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to sideboard view. You can see we have 15 one-ofs. I'm not entirely sure if this is like the correct way to do it, because sometimes you'd want to wish for something more than once. But so far this has been pretty good for me. We have an extra Time Wipe and Planar Cleansing as additional Wrath of Gods if we just need to tutor up one of those. Glass Casket, Assassin's Trophy are spot removal for individual things that might be annoying us. Ethereal Absolution is good against token decks and very good in the mirror. Making our zombies 3/3s while theirs are 1/1s really busts things open. Grafdigger's Cage, there's a mono black deck that involves reanimating Cauldron Familiar a million times, and the drain can be really difficult to deal with, but we can just say I'm not going to deal with it with Grafdigger's Cage. Veil of Summer and Negate are good against control decks, not great against Teferi, but not really very much is, so at the very least we can have something. Jace, Wielder of Mysteries, is honestly one of the cards most likely to actually win us the game. Other decks are reasonably good about stalling out against the zombies, but then Jace is great because it can either mill them out if they're emptying their own library, or mill ourselves out and win that way. This card is really, really good. Unmoored Ego is the true mirror breaker, being able to wish for this and then hit the 3 Fields of the Dead that are still in their deck, limits the number of zombies that they can have overall, combined with Casualties of War. Multiple times in the Golos mirror, I have gotten rid of all of my opponent's Field of the Dead, and usually they just concede on the spot. Finally, for big value cards, Ugin can answer anything and is also a powerful grindy win condition. This card's great. You could play like a Liliana or something, but I think being able to spot removal whatever you want is really powerful. Planewide Celebration is a card that took me a little longer to land on, but I think this card's actually great. We didn't really have any great sources of life gain. Hydroid Krasis is okay, but it doesn't gain that much. This can really save you from being burned out, and also we have a lot of Planeswalkers and cool permanent cards, so just returning Golos, Teferi, Hydroid Krasis, and Ugin to your hand is basically impossible to beat. Finale of Revelation is a straight card draw spell. At first I had a Hydroid Krasis in this slot, but you can't wish for creatures with Fae of Wishes, so don't put Hydroid Krasis in your sideboard. This card's pretty good. I've only wished for it like once, but it won the game when I did, so meh. And finally, Finale of Devastation. Basically, just several times I find myself wishing that I could wish for a Golos, and this is a way that you can do that. It's also a win condition if you have all the mana in the world. You can X is 10 or more with your zombies and just totally run the opponent over. So I think this deserves its spot. So that's all 15 sideboard cards. I find myself wishing for all of them at least once, so they've pretty much all earned their spot. I could see other things being better, but I have liked this so far. So without further ado, I'm going to hop in and get to some games. Alright, first game with Best of 1 Golos. I mentioned that I built this deck and worked on it. This hand seems okay. Not great, but okay. For the purposes of the Win Anything standard event, I ended up going 10-2 in that, which is pretty good, but not good enough, so that's kind of whatever. But honestly, even though this deck is really the enemy right now, it's really, really fun to play. So I found myself playing it anyway. Alright, so we already have big card advantage and a Wrath. So I could see taking Golos. I don't think we need Fae of Wishes, and it's definitely not Hydroid Krasis. But I'm actually going to take Arboreal Grazer here. I think I really just want to speed up this draw. Get things going. Basically, any of those other cards, yeah, would have been better if we just need to, like, grind for raw value. But right now, my objective is just to not die. And this both gives us a defensive body, where the knight isn't going to be able to do much. Okay, I'm going to Once Upon a Time first here. And, I think because we have the time wipe, I'm going to take Field of the Dead here. I could see taking the Giant, because we're probably going to need to Wrath more than once in this matchup. But wow, that's kind of brutal. Okay, I was going to say that I had planned to play a Hydroid Krasis and try to bait out a little more from my opponent before I Wrath the board, but I don't know that I have time to do that with the Knight's Charge. Next turn we can play a Temple of Mystery Grazer and put in a Temple Garden and look to Hydroid Krasis with X at 6 the turn after that. Yeah, a lot of cards, or a lot of decks in Standard are adapting to what Golos is doing by going hard on this type of effect. Actually going to keep that on top so that next turn we can play Krasis with X equals 6 without taking damage. And yeah, our Field of the Dead is online, so opponent can no longer just attack into me for free. They get these triggers, but gonna go ahead. They get to put a counter on something, but that's pretty whatever. I'm gonna really start taxing their creatures here. Unless we get pretty unlucky, I'm thinking that this game is over. Yeah, next turn we get to Field of the Dead. They're missing their land drops, so Teferi bouncing this Knight's Charge is going to slow them way, way down. We'll see what they decide to do. And Hydroid Krasis is no joke. This is going to kill them pretty fast. I wouldn't be that surprised if they have Murderous Riders in their deck, and so we might not get to... oof. That hurts. We might not get to kill them with it that fast, but we can try. Trying to decide what to do. This has reach, so it can block the Order of Midnight. So, I'm not too scared about that.
This isn't a fight you can win. I've got it.
Let's go ahead and do this. See if there's anything fun we can get. Plaza of Harmony seems good. So now I can go ahead and whack them for a bunch of damage. Hasn't done that much yet, but now they kind of need to waste their turn replaying their Knight's Charge. And I'm going to Growth Spiral and put in a Plaza, which we do have the Guildgates, right? Yeah, we do. So that'll gain us some life and also make multiple more zombies. Ooh, we're going to take 2 in the air. That's a little annoying. But our blocks are still good here, and like I said, we're already going to gain some life. Oof, another Smitten Swordmaster. These effects are, like, really nasty. Oh, so we lose Teferi here. I'm not sure that's the axis our opponent should be trying to win this on.
This is hardly my worst defeat.
Huh. We actually... That was a mistake. I should have put in a tap land, because we could play this untapped for free next turn. Oops. So let's see. We have 6 attackers. This one gets through free. So we're not even close to threatening lethal this turn. 4, 5. Got 10 mana, so it doesn't really matter that I need to play a tap land this turn. Make more zombies. I'm not going to attack with my zombies yet. I don't think I have to. I'm going to hold them back to protect me, because the attacks aren't super profitable. And then I can look to overwhelm them with zombies next turn. Yep. Opponent isn't quite just dead in the air, but it's relatively close.
Sorry I'm late. Oh, I've done the hero thing before.
Let's go ahead and attack with everybody, because we're about to make so many more zombies. Blocking is not a problem. Let's see if they are. Are they dead? Yeah, I didn't do the math, but I think they are. Yep. So you can see there, they really built their deck to abuse what we were doing with the Smitten Swordmasters and the Knight's Charges. They knew that they were going to have to get past zombies, and they were hoping to drain us out, and it still wasn't even close to good enough. We finished the game at 17. We went down to like 9 at one point. That isn't even that low. So I think this illustrates how ridiculous Golos is. Hopefully we get to show off Fae of Wishes in some of the later games. Alright, getting into it. Alright. Hand seems great. Get to Once Upon a Time to look for whatever we want. This card is so ridiculous. I've played it in a bunch of decks, and I've been doing a lot of losing in this format, but this card is consistently great. Okay, so almost certainly the mirror, which means our game plan is to accelerate as quickly as we can, and then we want to Fae of Wishes, grabbing... Alright, let's go ahead and take a Golos. Our goal is to Fae of Wishes for Unmoored Ego and hit their Fields of the Dead. Okay. I'm not trying to rip on my opponent here because it's not intuitive, but this is something you don't want to do. If you're going to do this anyway, wait until after your draw step. Because what this is doing is looking at the top 5 and picking one. And so after you cast Once Upon a Time, right? You then are going to draw no matter what. So if you're going to take these 2 actions anyway, drawing and looking at the top 5, you want to do it in the order that gives you information first. So the draw is random and you have no control over it, and it might affect the decision that you do from Once Upon a Time. but you are never going to change what you draw based on what you once upon a time for, if that makes sense. Because you can't. You don't affect your draw step. Okay, we do not have an island, so I'm going to not be a dummy and play Castle Vantress. I'm going to go ahead and Fabled Passage. I'm going to get an island, so that later we can Castle Vantress. And here, I'm going to go for a black-green Guildgate, and I'm going to get the Boros Guildgate out of our deck. Now we have all 5 colors, and so could possibly activate a Golos. We're going to see what happens here. Yeah. So opponent still only has 6 lands here. So we could play Castle, wish for Unmoored Ego, and get rid of their last 2 fields, and that might be the correct decision. Just to cut off their total number of fields over the course of the game, whereas we're going to get as many as we want. I almost want to Golos right now, though, because then we'll get our field and start making zombies. Yeah, I think I'm going to start with that. I'm just a little worried about getting overwhelmed. I think it's possible that this was a mistake. Let's see what they do here. Okay, those were pretty bad hits. Although, now I'm going to look like a fool. They're going to go ahead and get a Golos here. And so they get to get a 3rd field. So Unmoored Ego isn't even really that good anymore. But yeah, we got lucky that they hit those, because they don't do anything. Oh, they didn't get fields. Well, that means, because they wouldn't have gotten zombies if they got fields here. And so they're probably worried about the same thing I was. They don't want to get overwhelmed. But, I was going to say, that's a really weird attack. I wouldn't do that. So now, we get to do what I wanted to do. They already have 2 fields in play, so this isn't the best thing in the entire world, but... Okay, they've got good cards in their hand. Now I know not to super overcommit into these. Alright, let's see, look at the rest of their deck. Okay. They've got more individually powerful cards, but Beanstalk Giant just really isn't that good in this deck. Or in this matchup, I should say. It's fine in the deck. Not going to do anything. They do have the field advantage right now. Alright, let's hope they hit bad stuff again. Oof. That was a really good hit for them. Yeah. Okay. We are now in trouble. Them naturally drawing a Field of the Dead and being on the play, so they got their Golos out earlier, was like really bad for us. The only real decision we got to make this game was waiting on the Fae of Wishes so I could Golos that one turn. And honestly, I don't think that affected too much. Yeah. Because they didn't get another field in that next turn. If they had, I would have regretted what we did, but overall I think we were fine. So here, I'm gonna dirtle pretty hard.
Trust me, you'll thank me later. Here goes nothing.
Okay. So I have a couple options here. I can either crack this, make a zombie, Golos, get a Field of the Dead, make 2 zombies, and I think I actually am... Do I do that? Because that's like pretty bad if they then time wipe. I don't think I want to walk into that actually, so... I'm just going to go ahead and go with Casualties of War here. Them knowing about it is kind of whatever. I might take some damage here because they have way more zombies than I do. But then being able to Casualties, cut them down to 1 Field of the Dead, kill this, kill a zombie, whatever. Just limiting their options pretty hard. Yeah. This will be interesting to see if I manage to pull this one out, because I felt extremely favored in Golos Mirrors that I've played, because Fae of Wishes gives me such a flexibility advantage. Like, we're both going to wind up with 1,000,000 mana, so... Alright. We don't have enough blockers to save Teferi. So... I think I'm just going to trade off as aggressively as possible. We can't save him anyway, but... we can try to keep the board kind of clear. I just want to stall out the game as much as possible. And like I said, I'm like... Oh my god, they hit another Circuitous Route. That's so bad. Oh, jeez. Okay, they got really unlucky the first activation and have gotten insanely lucky every activation after that. We're going to really need a Wrath here. Once Upon a Time can find the Giant, but cannot find Time Wipe. Let's see. Yeah. This is an interesting play, just because they know I have Casualties of War, so that's just a kind of free extra thing to kill here. See, we're still at 10 mana. It's not super great. Let's see what they decide to do. Okay. Submit 0, yeah. They don't want to bounce either of these creatures for us. Oh, crap. Well, this will actually fix the problem, but... No, don't tap me that way. Oh no, I do need it to tap me that way. Huh. So let's see. If I play this, this can tap for black, so I'm gonna have to crack my land, which I've been, like, avoiding doing, but... The rest of my lands are being uncooperative towards casting Casualties, so that is what we gotta do. Planeswalker, land, creature, artifact. Artifact. Sure, one of these. Get one of these, yeah.
Only time will tell.
So again, I don't want to walk Golos into a Wrath. We're going to take some damage here, but I want to force them to Wrath if they want to get rid of my guy. I don't want to play another one out. We need to kind of start turning the corner on this game, because an unfortunate fact that we know from looking at our opponent's deck is that they have Agent of Treachery in their deck. And that card is going to steal my Fields of the Dead and nullify the advantage that I generated by getting rid of theirs. Yep. So yeah, like I said, I think my deck is better tuned, but they had a very good draw and they were on the play, and I think that might be a little bit too much for us. And like, we've been living under the gun of these the whole time. I'm not too sure there's a whole lot we can do about that. Oh boy. Let's see, how many lands do they have in play? 8, 12, plus 5 is 17. This is like 18, so... And they're gonna lose their 19th, so like... 19, 20, 21, 22... 23... So, like, they're gonna start running out of lands. There's a lot of lands in this deck, but not that many. Alright, let's go to my turn. Huh. So, I think the opening play is Once Upon a Time. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Yeah, let's blow up the world. Woo! Okay. Sorry about that. Holy crap. That was so loud. If they want to blow up my Fave Wishes, that's fine. I'll give them the opportunity to do so. But I'm going to go ahead and get this down. Okay, so that guy's really, really big. Got it. Also very, very big. Yeah, and that's probably what they were looking for. They were trying to bait out this. Huh. Realm-Cloaked Giant's really good with this, because even if I make blockers, they're not good enough. It's pretty awkward for me, actually.
Right on.
Come on, bounce my Fae.
Trust me, I have a plan.
Alright, well, we got a little lucky there. I think I'm going to need to Fae for something that can kill these. I'm going to go ahead and take out Teferi, because he's a big jerk.
Now what?
Alright, what are we getting? Actually, cancel. Let's tap this intelligently, because I want to leave as many options open as possible. We're not going to need triple green, and we have triple white even if we tap like this. So. Alright, I think it's just going to have to be planar cleansing. Oh, time wipe is actually better. I forgot that we had a time wipe in here. Yeah. Okay. And then this is the one we used already. If they want to time wipe this or Realm-Cloaked Giant it, that's fine. Like I said, they're gonna start running out of lands here. They only have 14 cards left in deck. We could wish for Jace and start milling them out if we feel like we've stabilized. Yeah, and this just helps us with that plant. Oh, that guy! That really sucks. Gonna steal our field here. No, they stole our Fae. Why? That's so weird.
If you show remorse, I'll show restraint. This might be a bad idea.
Like, there's no way that they can bounce that without giving it to us. That's a super weird decision. To me. Okay, so they are almost out of cards in library. We're at 4, 5, 6, 11 lands still. That's not that many. Ah. I had never seen this before this standard format, but you can have like 2 pages of lands. Alright, this turn I'm gonna develop my mana. And by playing it this way, I don't really care if they wrath my board. It's just like not really that relevant to me. And what I'm doing here is basically I'm going to stall out the board so they can't hope to really attack me to death. And by doing so, I'll stall out the game. They barely have any cards left in deck, so next turn I can just wish for Jace and start milling them out. So I think I have this one pretty well in hand. Like, they can Teferi bounce their agent and replay him and steal something, but
I've got time.
I don't know. I think we're beyond that being a viable way to win this game. Yeah, just kills my Golos, like, whatever. Honestly, I'm more annoyed about the Stone Rain aspect of that than I am about them having a Field of the Dead. They've got to be almost totally out of lands. Alright, gonna trade with 3 zombies right here so I don't take any damage. Take 1, that's whatever. Oh, they're just dead. I forgot that Agent of Treachery has more text. Yep, okay. So we had a plan, and I think we were likely to win anyway, especially with drawing that time wipe, but, yeah. They stole too much stuff. Okay, that was a bit unorthodox, but the things we wished for were really good, so I think that does establish, like you can see they had Agent of Treacheries, which I think are clearly supposed to be for the mirror as well, but we broke it open way harder. They had a huge advantage going into the early game, and we still pulled that one out, so feel pretty good about that. Alright, third game with Golos. Probably be the last one. These games are pretty long. Can't say I've seen this before. Why are we stalled out on an empty board? Okay. That was kind of weird. Alright, this hand seems great. Can shock in the Temple Garden, Grazer, put in a gate. Once upon a time will find us something to do, and then Circuitous Route and Golos. We're on the path to start making zombies really fast. Okay, Steam Vents, which means this is not a mirror. This is good. We get to see 3 different types of strategies here. Blue fixes our colors, but if we get down a Field of the Dead, we're... like, naturally drawing one of these is really good. Drawing a second Temple Garden is not that good with taking Field of the Dead early, but... we'll see what they're doing. They could be like... I've seen a Grixis aggro deck. They could be some sort of weird improbable alliance deck. There are lots of things they could be doing here. I've tried to make Grixis control work, but it feels really, really bad against an uncounterable source of infinite 2/2s. Alright. Let's get Circuitous. Got a negate for me? Yeah. That's fine. If they counter every single play we make, we will still win the game eventually. And that's why playing control decks feels so bad, is there's like no way to fight this. Alright, so I could shock this in and try to run out of Golos. I think I'm just going to play this and pass. Then we can end step Growth Spiral. Sure. Okay. We are now under the gun. Fae of Wishes lines up very well against this card, but... yeah, they might just kill us. Do we give up our Grazer here? Sure, he's not doing much else. Gotta counter my Growth Spiral? I'd be fine with that. Okay. They have every counterspell known to man. That's a tough one. I'm gonna bottom that. I think we're gonna need spells to handle this before it kills us. This card's really, really good. In case anyone was curious. If you still thought the jury was out on this. Okay, we have 2 Guildgates. So right here, I'm actually going to go get a Plaza of Harmony. Where is it? Oh, it's over here. I think our odds of winning this game are very good as long as this thing doesn't just kill us. We don't have red this way, so I can't activate Golos, but we don't necessarily need to be doing that yet. If we can find like a Hydroid Krasis, even an Arboreal Grazer to chump this again, would be good. Alright, opponent, what do you got? Okay. Alright, so I'm gonna place a Teferi. Hopefully this isn't a counter. Oh god. Oh, that sucks. That's a lot of counter spells. Alright, now we are at the mercy of our deck. We've got a lot of draws that will do pretty well for us. That's not really one. Pity we don't have a mountain. Alright, we basically have one more draw step. Looks like opponent might have figured this out to some extent. Like I mentioned, countering everything is like not good enough, but countering everything with a pretty quick clock behind it is. So, okay, there we go. All right, how many lands do we got? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. X equals 8. Roar. Even if they counter it, this gains us a bunch of life and draws us a card. So, and draws us some cards, so we're not dead to the Brazen Borrower anymore. Yeah, sure. This card is not relevant. Sure. Sure, I'll attack with Golos. Okay. So there's several ways we can do this. I could Golos for a Orzhov Guildgate, but I don't think... Actually, I just don't think that works at all. So let's try this. Okay, how do we want to do this? I think the safest route is just getting a Krasis again. Yeah, okay, and they packed it up. Okay, so they countered 4 spells that game, had a 2-for-1 in the form of this giant, and dealt a lot of damage with their quick flash threat, and we still won, which shows how ridiculous Golos is. I would not play a standard best of 1 or best of 3 tournament without sleeving up Golos Field right now. Maybe someone breaks it soon and the format gets interesting again, but I think this deck is totally absurd. And I especially like this version with access to the Fae of Wishes package. It makes a lot of matchups easier, but especially the mirror, as we sort of saw, because that's not really why I won that mirror, but whatever. Alright, hopefully you enjoyed this deck, even if it is a bit of the enemy. And that's all I got for today. Thanks for watching.